The Nova spaceport hummed with the usual chaos of 1,000 different species, rushing through its chromium halls. Zia wiped the grease from his hands onto his already stained coveralls and squinted at the fusion drive he'd been repairing for the past 6 hours. As a human mechanic working in the outer terminals, he was used to being invisible. Just another pair of hands fixing the ships that kept the galaxy moving. That invisibility shattered when the screaming started. It wasn't a normal scream. This sound pierced through the spaceport's ambient noise like a plasma cutter through hull plating. High-pitched, distressed, and absolutely relentless. Zia dropped his wrench and moved toward the main concourse along with hundreds of other curious onlookers. The crowd parted like a sea, and Zia understood why. In the center of the terminal stood Empress Elsa Thorax, the dragon lady of the Pyrithian Empire. She was magnificent and terrifying in equal measure. 12 feet of iridescent scales that shifted between emerald and gold, wings folded against her back, and eyes that glowed like molten amber. Her reputation preceded her: conqueror of 7 systems, negotiator of the Andromeda Accords, and one of the most powerful beings in known space. In her clawed arms she held a small dragon, barely the size of a house cat, that was wailing inconsolably. "Silence, little one." Elsa's voice rumbled, but there was an edge of desperation beneath the imperial tone. "Please." The baby dragon only cried harder, its tiny wings flapping uselessly. Around them, various aliens stood at a respectful distance. A Centaurian diplomat backed away nervously. A Vraxian merchant clutched its belongings tighter. No one dared approach the Empress, even to help. Zia had heard the stories. Dragon ladies were fiercely protective of their young, and perceived threats were met with extreme prejudice. But Zia also recognized something else in Elsa's glowing eyes: exhaustion, fear, the universal expression of a parent who had run out of options. He'd seen that look before on his own mother's face back on Earth, when his baby sister wouldn't stop crying through the night. Before his brain could catch up with his body, Zia was walking forward. "Human!" A Keltorian merchant grabbed his arm. "Are you insane?" "That's the Empress." Zia gently pulled free and kept walking. The crowd gasped. Elsa's head snapped toward him, her eyes narrowing to dangerous slits. "Stop," she commanded, her voice reverberating through the terminal. Zia stopped, but he didn't retreat. He raised his hands slowly, palms out. "Your Majesty, I might be able to help." "You?" Elsa's laugh was bitter. "I have consulted the finest Pyrithian healers, the most renowned xenobiologists in the Empire. What could a mechanic possibly offer? Permission to approach?" Zia asked, ignoring the question. Elsa studied him for a long moment. The baby dragon's cries filled the silence. Finally, she gave a slight nod. Zia moved closer, his heart hammering. Up close, the Empress was even more imposing, but he focused on the baby. The little dragon's scales were pale blue, not yet hardened into their adult coloring. Its eyes were squeezed shut as it wailed. "May I?" Zia extended his hands. Every being in the terminal held its breath. Elsa's grip tightened protectively on her child. Then, perhaps seeing something in this strange human's eyes, she slowly, carefully, placed the baby in Zia's arms. The little dragon felt warm, like holding a living furnace. It continued crying, but Zia did something that made Elsa's eyes widen in shock. He started humming. It was an old Earth lullaby, something his grandmother had taught him. As he hummed, Zia gently rocked the baby dragon, supporting its head with one hand while the other traced soft circles on its back. He'd done this 1,000 times with his sister. "Shh," he murmured between verses. "You're okay, little one. You're safe." The baby's cries began to soften. Zia adjusted his hold slightly, cradling the dragon against his chest where it could feel his heartbeat. He continued humming, swaying gently from side to side. The terminal fell silent. The baby dragon's wails turned to whimpers, then to soft chirping sounds. Its tiny head nestled against Zia's coveralls. Within 2 minutes, the little creature was asleep. Zia looked up to find Elsa staring at him with an expression he couldn't quite read. Her glowing eyes had dimmed to a soft warmth. "How?" she whispered. "Babies are babies, Your Majesty," Zia said softly. "Doesn't matter if they're human or dragon. They need to feel safe, warm, like they're not alone." He carefully transferred the sleeping infant back to Elsa. "And sometimes they just need someone who isn't stressed to hold them. Fear is contagious. Calm is too." Elsa gazed down at her peacefully sleeping child, then back at Zia. What is your name, human? Zia, your majesty. Just a mechanic. No, Elsa said firmly. Not just anything. She reached up with one clawed hand and touched a scale at her throat. It came free with a soft chime glowing faintly. She pressed it into Zia's palm. This is a scale of the Empress. It marks you as a friend to the Pyrithian Empire. Should you ever need anything anywhere in the 7 systems, present this. Zia stared at the scale, worth more than he'd earn in 10 lifetimes. Your Majesty, I can't. You did the unthinkable, Zia, Elsa interrupted, her voice gentle now. You saw an Empress, a dragon lady, a being who could incinerate you with a thought, and you saw only a mother who needed help. That is not the action of just a mechanic. That is courage, compassion. That is what makes humanity remarkable. As Elsa walked away, her baby sleeping soundly against her chest, the crowd erupted into whispers. Zia stood there holding an Empress's scale, and realized that sometimes the most unthinkable thing was simply choosing kindness over fear. Behind him, his fusion drive still needed fixing, but Zia smiled. It could wait a few more minutes.